Youth delegate from Cuba, Elizabeth Hernandez Rodriguez.
Buenas tardes. Hola.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Hernandez Rodriguez. I just want to thank Mary Shuttleworth for this summit and all your group so that we can have this summit. And I want to thank you. So those that did a lot so that my country could come here and become a reality, because in February in 1982, Albert Humboldt, they published this. You thought we make sure that she was a literature, and he tried to visit 1988. She tried to be, at that time, the president of the U.S. so that they could talk to Calixto Garcia. And what we were trying is to achieve in Cubans freedom. And as a consequence, on May the 20th, in 1902, Cuba Republica de José Martí, that was very famous during the Cuban city through New York for the past 15 years, in 1980. In 1985, they get to witness the Cuban Republic, and he passed away in 1985 in the battlefield in Cuba as well. She tried to achieve freedom. So please, I hope you can all go in Central Park, where statue that was at Central Park in South and the Americas, close to the entrance, on our entrance to Central Park. And the reasons that she wanted to break history, where human rights could be respected for everyone and for everyone's sake. One of the greatest results of 1905 and 1940 was the most advanced constitutions of the 20th century. It was the first one to consider social rights and achieve cultural and educational rights. And this national agreement of the 1948 Assembly that will go into the Constitution of the Cuban Revolution of 1940, as she did belong to the constitutional reform with the Diplomática Cuban, Luis Pérez Cisneros. Sadly, the republic that Martí would thought she will not believe. They will just go on for 70 years after it was founded, of this newly founded country. Before this happened, she went onto a spiral from human rights that will go on. This is Humboldt, which is the first winner of this, would write in Havana, Cuba, that would wrote one of his famous books, which is The Science of Survival. And in this book, Mr. Hubbard would think that it was prophetically. She thought that this was happening in this town, just a barely few years. And she tried to start to thought about that book in that particular country. In Book 1, Chapter 15, he had a perfect description of what was happening in the country for the past 70 years. It's a government that would like to corrupt this town for the moment that they will just accept the most corruptive acts. The first thing that you would eradicate is the concept of God that will only seek to extinguish and enslave. But fortunately, that great light has already been gone, and in these 70 years, we are still under oppression, and Cubans will still raise their voice that would like to have a republic by Martí could be restored, by Osvaldo Payá specifically, that he actually became a martyr in 2012, and he said night will not go on forever. And by 2015, we were visited in Cuba by presented Youth for Human Rights, Madame Garcia Benush, and with her visit, she would establish a new bridge because of thousands of copies of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights have been distributed within Cuba. Organizations like the Institute Patmos, which is the one I represent, they have been part of these efforts. And these efforts have definitely prompted that July 11, 2021, from a spontaneous processes would rally around the streets and do public demonstration requesting their freedom. And me, representing Cuba in this 18th Human Rights Summit, I come from the same dream that Jose Marti stemmed from. In this very city for 15 years, he dreamt that he could be free. And that's why we rallied on July 11 in 2021. Among you here before that Cubans are not alone in this endeavor, that human rights, we want to make sure they are true for human rights. So human rights from Cubans now. Thank you.